In 1978, 15-year-old Mary Vincent hitchhiked from Soquel to Corona, California. After 50-year-old Lawrence Singleton picked her up, he attacked Vincent and mutilated her before leaving her for dead. Against all odds, Vincent managed to survive Singleton's assassination attempt and received help from a couple on the interstate. Vincent was to testify against Singleton, who served less than 10 years for his crimes. Despite Vincent's extensive physical and mental trauma, she testified against Singleton for a second time many years later when he was tried for murder. With the help of Vincent's testimony, Singleton received the death sentence for his crime. Today, Mary Vincent is an artist, victims' rights advocate, and motivational speaker. Mary Vincent grew up in Las Vegas, where her parents worked in casinos. When she became a teenager, Vincent began to defy her strict parents and often skipped school, once even leaving town with her boyfriend. The two lived together over the summer in her boyfriend's car in Sausalito, California, until authorities arrested him on charges of raping a teenage girl. After her arrest, Vincent traveled south and lived for a time with an uncle in Soquel, California. Eventually, she headed to Corona, California, a city near Los Angeles, to visit her grandfather. On September 29, 1978, 50-year-old Lawrence Singleton pulled up his van to pick up Mary Vincent in Berkeley, California. Singleton was a merchant seaman who claimed he was traveling to Reno, Nevada, but could have given Vincent a ride to Los Angeles. Vincent had to hitchhike for 100 miles, and she agreed to get into Singleton's van. Despite his seemingly friendly demeanor, Singleton was previously convicted of contributing to the delinquency of a minor and had a history of alcohol abuse. He also recently divorced his second wife and became estranged from his daughter. When Vincent lit a cigarette shortly after agreeing to go for a ride, she sneezed and Singleton reached out to feel her neck, asking if she was sick. Vincent didn't like the physical contact and she pulled away from him, but soon fell asleep, as she didn't do anything else. She even offered to help him carry his laundry at a stop along the way before dozing off, not thinking anything was wrong. When she woke up, she realized that they had lost their course and were heading back to Nevada. Vincent quickly found a sharp stick in the car and pointed it at Singleton. She demanded that he turn the van around and take her to where she was going. Singleton agreed and calmly apologized, assuring the teenager that he was just an honest man who made a mistake. Vincent believed she was repentant and the trip continued. At one point, Singleton stopped the van to use the restroom and Vincent got out to stretch her legs. As she bent over to tie her shoe, Singleton hit her in the back of the head until she fell. Singleton then raped Vincent, telling her not to scream or he would kill her. He insisted that she must obey him if she wanted to live. Singleton then tied Vincent's hands behind his back and drove the car for a while. He eventually stopped, freed her hands, and ordered her to drink some unknown alcohol from a plastic jug before continuing his attack. When Vincent regained consciousness, Singleton ordered her to lie down on the edge of the road and she begged him to free her. He started saying, "Do you want to be free? I will set you free." Singleton cut off both of Vincent's arms with an axe just below the elbow. After Singleton pushed Vincent off the embankment, he pushed her into a concrete pipe and told her, "Okay, you're free now." He then left her there, unconscious and dying. When Vincent regained consciousness, she was in a terrible state. She was at the bottom of the ravine, naked, alone and bleeding. She steeled herself to get up and walk 3 miles from the culvert, which she later learned was Del Puerto Canyon. She followed the sounds coming from the nearby freeway and raised her hands to keep the bleeding to a minimum. When she reached the freeway, the first people who noticed her sped away in fear. A second couple, traveling on vacation, stopped to help her. They wrapped her in sheets from their car before driving her to a nearby airport. There they called an ambulance. After the attack, 15-year-old Vincent provided law enforcement with such a detailed description of her attacker that people immediately recognized the police sketch. During her recovery, specialists fitted Vincent with a prosthesis and she returned to school. When authorities detained Singleton, Vincent testified against him. Singleton insisted Vincent was a sex worker and denied committing any crimes. He also claimed that there was someone else in the car and Vincent threatened him with false accusations. Singleton even called her a $10 a night prostitute. Despite Singleton's lies, Vincent went to trial and testified against him. Vincent only referred to Singleton as my attacker, and she stated in a firm voice that he did this to her, referring to her prosthetic arms. Years later, when Florida police arrested Singleton for another crime, Vincent testified again. Authorities had overwhelming evidence against Singleton and found him guilty of several charges, including kidnapping, attempted murder, and rape. Vincent quickly left the courtroom after Singleton made quiet comments to her. He later admitted that he told her, "I will finish this job even if it takes the rest of my life." Vincent was horrified. She reportedly had problems with her family at home and felt isolated at her cram school. She left immediately after graduating from school and began to hide her life and whereabouts. Traumatized and depressed, Vincent developed an eating disorder, found it difficult to leave the house, and saw many of her close relationships fall apart. Vincent later said that she considered suicide, but could never go through with it. After serving just 8 years and 4 months, Singleton was paroled from San Quentin prison for good behavior. Singleton reportedly showed no remorse and still maintained that he was innocent and had never attacked Vincent or tried to kill her. However, the public was not eager to see Singleton in their communities. Cities throughout California refused to allow him to live within their borders. Singleton ended up spending the rest of his parole in a trailer on the grounds of San Quentin, under a curfew and guards. He joined Alcoholics Anonymous and claimed to be sober. Meanwhile, Vincent continued to hide. After years of claiming that he was a victim of the events of 1978, Singleton sued Vincent. He claimed that he remembered Vincent threatening to accuse him of rape and that she waved a stick at him. He filed a complaint, suing Vincent. Singleton claimed he felt sorry for Vincent, claiming he nearly vomited 3 times and couldn't sleep for several nights after filing the lawsuit. The lawsuit was never filed and the courts rejected it. After his release from prison, Singleton returned to his home state of Florida, where he was arrested for petty theft in 1990. He was sentenced to 2 years, but served only part of that term. On February 19, 1997, almost 20 years after the attack on Mary Vincent, Singleton lured a young sex worker named Roxanne Hayes to his home, where he attacked her. Neighbors called the police after hearing the noise. When police arrived, they found Singleton covered in blood and Hayes dead on the floor. Singleton stabbed the mother of 3 several times in the torso. Singleton was convicted of murder and sentenced to death, but died of cancer on December 28, 2001, at the age of 74, while still on death row. Years after her recovery, Vincent married but later divorced. Her injury caused years of stress and depression. She eventually became the mother of 2 boys. From that moment on, her life began to change for the better. Vincent reportedly began to recover and form close relationships as her new family became her life. In a 2003 interview, Vincent stated, "I remember when I was 4 years old. Someone asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up. I said, I want to be a mother to the world." Vincent added that motherhood helped her get through some incredibly difficult years after the attack. When Mary Vincent was a little girl, she wanted to become a dancer. After the attack, Singleton had to use parts of her leg to rebuild her arms, ending her childhood dreams of dancing. However, she found a creative outlet in painting, drawing, and sketching. She has also been known to tinker with her prosthetic arms as part of her art. Vincent created everything from commissioned family portraits to figurines of influential women,